Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of my series, Managing Self. Today's episode is titled Stick It. I'll discuss how on a daily basis I stick it to MS to live the healthiest, happiest I can possibly live with this unpredictable, degenerative neurological disease. Never a day goes by without me giving thanks. And one very positive aspect of this show, from my perspective, is it gives me the opportunity to share my experiences of living the best life possible with MS. And in turn, I'm forced to evaluate weekly at minimum and assess what I am doing to make adjustments. So essentially this keeps me on my toes figuratively, and nonetheless is a very positive thing. Okay, so often people complain there's not enough hours in a day, only 24 hours. But for MSers like myself, this shortage exists on a much larger scale. And like everything involving MS, we have to be ready and willing to make adjustments pretty much at the drop of a dime. Unfortunately, the unpredictable nature can make planning and scheduling difficult, sometimes near impossible, or feel like it's an absolute waste of time. So my time management is crucial for my handling or sticking it to MS. I know that I'm not alone with dealing with daily medical mumbo jumbo, for lack of more technical terms. We have this billing statements, the bills themselves, the invoices, the letters and correspondence, and the quote unquote junk mail, different medical or different pharmacy, or I guess the pharmacy companies are trying to push their medications, the latest, greatest MS drugs, what have you. So anyway, like I said, I'm not alone with handling and dealing with this stuff. But what keeps me sane is in mitigating that stress is that number one, I set priorities. Number two, I limit my interruptions. And number three, I say no to make sure those priorities are met. Setting priorities. First of all, we need to determine what really is a priority. Sure, we have daily tasks, to-do lists, etc., but I suggest listing all of these items out and perhaps ranking them in whatever system that you're used to, or that you use to sort through things and rank them. If it is a must-be-done item, like must be done today, I certainly encourage you to follow through with that task immediately through to the end of it until completion. Myself, next week I have, as of this morning, I had a conflicting appointment with my next month's infusion. So it was very important for me to call the clinic, get that straightened out as soon as possible. I called, I left a message. I also put my message on a Post-it or a sticky and stuck it on my mirror. And I waited probably an hour or two, and I called back again, and I was lucky that time. I actually spoke to a scheduler and a resolution was reached. I scheduled my appointment or rescheduled my appointment so that I can go ahead with the earlier conflicting appointment. So everything's settled and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Just show up as as I scheduled to work with my schedule, and I can relax with minimal stress, no longer a conflict, and that's over. But that had to be done today. I couldn't wait because like I said, my infusion is scheduled for next week, so I had to make sure that those two appointments were not conflicting. Both very important to me. For those tasks that can wait, I say let it. Let it wait. You don't have to get it done immediately. You don't have to like stress out, lose sleep over it. So for those things, I said if you can wait, let it wait. An example of that is my fitness schedule. You guys may know that I take fitness is very important to me, and I had planned out or mapped out my gym workouts for the week, Monday through Friday afternoons. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoons, and I'm always making sure I get my workouts done. I also like to eat a relatively healthy diet, and often visit the grocery store, a few times a week for fresh produce, etc. So last week I had an unplanned dental appointment, and actually two unplanned dental appointments because one led to another one, which will be another one. But two unplanned dental appointments this week, and the result was I was physically exhausted from the extra travel time and the reduced number of sleep that I got those nights for the appointment. Each of the drives were about 50 minutes, and 50 minutes is, I don't know about you, but for me that's a long time sitting in a car driving and having to, I don't know, just sit in a car. I don't know. I don't like long drives, but 50-minute drives each way. And the first appointment on Tuesday was, it was typical North Texas hot. When I say North Texas hot, I'm talking temperatures in the mid 90s, plenty sunny, plenty hot. So that is pretty much my kryptonite. Heat and sunlight for Dawn equals MS fatigue. That was Tuesday's appointment, Tuesday afternoon, so it was already hot. The second appointment was Thursday, and it was equally exhausting and stressful as it was 10 o'clock in the morning. So for that appointment, I had to wake up at 8 a.m. to leave the house by 9. And it was nothing shy of a torrential downpour. And a torrential downpour at 9 a.m. generally equals stress or more stress, particularly for myself, because most of the people on the road are trying to get to work and they're a little anxious and, just that whole mentality of stress driving, so I generally avoid driving early in the mornings at such times, and also in the rain with the, inclement weather conditions aren't the best. But, I got through it, and we'll say life goes on. I'll say life goes on because I did, unfortunately, I missed 2 days of my scheduled workouts for the week, that Tuesday and Thursday, the days of my appointments. But the positive is I did manage to get my adequate amount of sleep according to my playbook. And my playbook basically says I require 9 to 10 hours of sleep minimum per night. And I'll feel rested and feel better. So I did Tuesday night and Thursday night. I did, supplement for the time that I had lost those prior nights, and get my sleep to feel like my whole self, whatever whole means. But I did get my sleep, and in both of those days, unfortunately, I wasn't able to. I didn't have the energy to go ahead and proceed with my normally beautifully plated culinary creations of some, 7-course meal that I prepare. I was just simply too tired. Tuesday, hubby and I, we went to an Italian restaurant, and Thursday he was kind enough to he actually encouraged me to take a nap on Thursday, and when I woke up, he was gone. He was bringing home our dinner from that Italian restaurant again. So it was okay. Like I said, life went on. I had a change of game plan. I didn't get to work out as many days as I had planned, but I got my medical stuff taken care of, and which was a priority, which is always priority for me. And I didn't get to cook and make the healthiest of meals for us this week, but we did eat well and spent time together in relaxing, stress, away from a lot of stress. So that's more important to me than anything. So my medical's taken care of, and I had stress less days. So that was a success. So I think as far as my priorities, I think I did well. As always, what is my priorities? My priorities are my health, my MS health, my general health. This week it was my teeth health, pardon me, health, and I stuck it. I stuck to those priorities, or I stuck it. I stuck to it. I stuck to my priorities, and I use Post-its or stickies to remind myself, because so many times I too have short-term memory challenges, and I got what I deem most important taken care of in a logical order of hierarchy. So again, I set my priorities and I address them accordingly. So I've shared one of my recent examples of how my order of hierarchy was challenged. Fortunately, my fitness or gym visits were challenged by instances I rank just as important in priority as the ones that were being challenged. Challenged by important or significant or urgent disruptions. But what about those, I'd say, frivolous disruptions that we encounter? Just as important as setting the priorities, I know that I have to limit disruptions. I find it a bit ironic that most of the things or instances that I deem something as an interruption are actually things that are initiated by myself. I'm guilty of putting off making phone calls that I need to, but oftentimes I'm so quick to answer them. Phone rings, I answer it, I see incoming call, I rush to say hello, or, I answer it. But I don't know if you remember earlier when I said preparing for the show helps me to evaluate myself. Well, of course, this has served as a reminder to myself to allow voicemail services to take the call, take the message, and for me to return the call when most convenient for me and my schedule. So, as far as the ubiquitous social media, I know that I could stand to defer my checking of updates and replying to comments. It keeps me informed, or quote unquote informed, but I have to question how much will I get, how much will performing these tasks or performing these tasks, how much will this get me closer to me reaching my personal goals, those priorities that I've set, that I've identified and that I've set for myself as far as managing my MS health and my general well-being. So again, I limit my disruptions. Very important to, again, as a follow-up to setting your priorities. Limiting disruptions is very important as well. I thought about it. A lot of my interruptions are simply because sometimes I'm very tightly wound, and it's hard for me to simply slow down. I don't know. I know a lot of people tell me they're often very slow and lethargic, particularly in the mornings. I'm a little opposite. I have a lot of energy in the morning, and it's hard. It's hard for me to actually slow down. So I need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and just slow down. And I often remind myself that I need to do this, and I encourage you all out there, if any like me, like I said, I have a lot of energy, and I need to slow down in the morning times. I slow down in the evenings. I do slow down, but when I'm kind of wound tight, I need to take a breath, slow down, understand that I don't have to do everything at once. Give myself permission to do this and to not do that. If it's too much for that moment or the day, that's okay, and I'll stick to it. I'll stick to that one item or two items, but I don't have to complete 10 tasks on any given day. That's the importance of setting priorities, so that we don't put ourselves through that extra stress of trying to accomplish 100 items in one day when maybe we only need to do 2. And of course, our memory loss or any cognitive issues or challenges with memory, don't be afraid or ashamed to put a physical reminder about on your desk, on your mirror, in your car, what have you, but a post-it note or something to remind you to address something later during those terms that are more in line with your state of well-being. Go ahead and do that, and don't hesitate to do that, because again, everyone has a challenge to remember something at some time. So it's important for us to be proactive and put a physical reminder out there so that we can take note of it and follow up in due time. Okay, so we've identified tasks that we consider priorities. We've ranked them. We've limited our interruptions so that we can get these tasks addressed and met accordingly. But what about when people are those interruptions and they make requests of us that, well, they challenge our pursuit of our priorities, fulfillment. Hey, can you go to dinner? Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Hey, it's after 10. Want to go to a bar? I don't know, something like that. A lot of times, I guess where I'm going with this is a lot of times we're presented with offers, and we are reluctant to say no. No is a word to express the negative of an alternative choice of possibility. Reasons that I have difficulty saying no is because I have high expectations of myself, and I so often want to please others. So I often have a hard time saying no. Furthermore, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, particularly those who are closest to me. If someone asks me something, I may not be wholeheartedly feeling it, or I might be tired. And that's definitely, it's really hard to feel like doing something outside of the house when you're tired. And again, we know there's tired, there's MS tired, or fatigue. There's fatigue and there's MS fatigue. And so many times we're often presented with offers. I would say options or offers to do something that we just physically, mentally, emotionally can't do. But we refrain from saying no because we want to, we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. That's me particularly. I don't like to do that. I often strive to be positive and helpful. I just, it's really hard for me to, I don't know, I don't want to say be a Debbie Downer, but sometimes I feel like if I say no, I'm being a Debbie Downer. But I know that I myself, I need to realize that I do have a right to refuse, of course, but my nature, I say no. If I do say no, I try to deliver my no with every intention as to not hurt anybody's feelings, and I look for ways that I can soften the blow, because I genuinely care about others' feelings. So one thing that I do, and I'll give a suggestion to any of you out there, is when you're presented with a situation like that where you want to say no, but you don't want to, feel like it's a blunt force that you're delivering. Offer that you soften your delivery by proposing an alternative, not solution, but an alternative action or task or something. Like say, somebody say, hey, let's go to some dinner tomorrow night, and you know that you're tired after 7 o'clock. You don't want to go out anywhere, so you may offer, how about we do lunch tomorrow at 1 or something like that. 1 o'clock, the lunch crowd has subsided. You know that you'll be less stressed out. I know myself, I don't like crowds. Well, it's kind of hard. Not to say I don't like crowds. I don't like situations where it's stressful. And the typical lunch crowd at 12 o'clock, let's say, is very stressful because the majority of the people in the venue, or the vicinity, they're all there for a definite amount of time. They have to eat lunch and return back to work. Me, fortunately, one of the positives with MS as well, I don't have to be there at 12 to 1. I can go to lunch at 1. I can go to lunch at 2 o'clock. Things are less stressful, less people, less, just the whole hectic atmosphere is reduced. So, again, I look for situations where I can offer an alternative and something that's more aligned with my well-being. My well-being just screams no stress, no stress, no stress. So that's how I look at it. And like I said, I recommend, I understand that saying no is hard, but if you can, look for an alternative that you can maybe offer to that person, and look for a way that is more aligned with your schedule and things that will not add stress to your life, but mitigate it as much as possible. I also realize that the more I say no, the easier it is. And I don't want to say like, I can just say no now, like no, and not really care about how it's received by someone else. But the more I practice it and actually do it, it's not as stressful for me to do. And me, the more I've learned also, the more that I say no is actually the more that I say yes. And when I say saying no is me saying yes, I mean saying no to an offer is me saying yes to myself, and it's helping me to self-evaluate my roles and my responsibilities that I believe are the best for me. So if I say no, that means that I've thought about this really hard, long and hard, and figured out, okay, it's not best for me to go hanging out past 9 o'clock because I'm tired. I'm not going to be the best. I'm going to be kind of a fuddy-duddy. I'm going to be kind of lethargic. Some people may think I've been drinking because I'm kind of sluggish or something like that. So, me saying no is me saying, no, Dawn, that's not best for you right now. Me saying, yes, Dawn, you need to rest, and you don't need to be at every party or at every event. So saying no helps me to realize what I need to say yes to, and yes is to my promotion of my best physical well-being and my healthy MS lifestyle, the best lifestyle that I can have as a strong MS warrior, what we say. So again, saying no helps to, again, it's in line with us limiting those disruptions or anything that's a barricade or blocker to us reaching or fulfilling those priorities that we've set for us earlier. So we want to identify the priorities, set them, rank them, set them, limit our distractions, and also say no to those offers and distractions that may be a negative force or negative effect to us reaching our goals. Sorry, I forgot to give you an example of my own personal experience of saying no, and I was thinking of a very recent incident or event that I actually declined. I didn't attend an event with my husband, and actually, perfect example, did not want to hurt his feelings by telling him no, but I elected, or used my right to refusal but I said no, knowing that I didn't have the energy to attend, but also that I could get the materials from the event rebroadcast because they're streaming live and that is being recorded. So by me knowing that I could still get the information at a later time that was more beneficial and that would fit my schedule better, I said no. So, again, I'm not saying, I'm not encouraging anyone to say no. It's something that I don't do myself. So, again, this was something that I just recently struggled with. But like I said, I know that I can get the information at a later date at my own convenience, and I can replay things accordingly when I see fit for me. So that's just my example. I didn't want to say something without giving you an example that I was doing it as well. Thanks. So today we stuck it to MS, or I encourage you guys to stick it to MS. Stick it to MS with effective time management. Set your priorities, identify them, rank them, stick to them. Use reminders if need be, literally a physical reminder like a post-it or sticky to place so that you can remember it or help you to remember those things that you want to get accomplished. Also, we talked about limiting distractions, phone calls, sometimes let the voicemail pick up. And also we talked about saying no, our right to refusal, and say no, but also realize that saying no is essentially saying yes to ourselves. We're getting to know more of ourselves by saying yes to no and yes to those things that are most important to us. So say no to those elements that are avoidable, the stressors, and blockers to us reaching our goals. So particularly our MS well-being goals, which is what I'm all about. My MS health is number one to me, and anything that deviates from that, I red flag it, I question it, and usually avert from that and turn the other way. So I wish you all a very productive and a stress-less week. As I said before, there's no such thing as a stress-less week. There's no such thing as a stress-free week. So I wish you all a stress-less week. And remember, with or without multiple sclerosis, you are a priority. So set your priorities and make sure that you are up there at the very top. Pretty much at the top there. You are a priority, and make sure you have your place there. So stay courageous. And next week I'll talk more about all of our copious amounts of courage, some unrealized even by ourselves. But I think we're all MS warriors, and we should give ourselves a pat on the back. So next week I'll talk about courage of all of us, all our MS warrior courage that we have. I thank you for listening, and I do wish you have a great week. Thank you.